garden.
Yeah.
So we are standing on the slope and walking all the way down to this lake. You see how many islands there?
Yeah.
So that could be a future RD reservoir. No net export of soil. The soil you dig
To be
used to
an
create
island.
island.
Yeah.
Some are biodiversity islands, some are recreation island.
This project.
His friend. Oh, his friend.
The joke always do that.
ก่อสร้าง
ก่อสร้าง
ก่อสร้างไร่ก่อสร้าง
And
เอาเกาะไหมเอาเกาะตรงกลางอ่างไหม
คน
พี่
สร้างเกาะคนก่อสร้างเรื่องอาหารอยู่อย่าไปยุ่ง
and then introducing boating activities. Because if you just have a large reservoir, there's nothing to do. But if you have many islands, the boating interesting, right? You can go from this to this by kayaking.
ขยัก
Yeah, right? Because you're visiting island one after another. Each island is different.
Which island have a monkey?
we should import some monkey from and elephant from Bangkok.
ค่อนข้างเน้นการไม่ได้เอาไว้ทำ
Okay. So this tour is half sightseeing, half technical.
Which is not a major purpose.
No, it's sightseeing. Because this is the best, one of the best gardens in Australia. The Royal Botanic Garden.
ไหมไหม
The first one was master planned by a British government who just migrated to Melbourne. So if you look 100 years ago, it's an English miniature garden. But then Australians say no, that's not what we want. So they slowly convert the plants and the planting scheme landscape into more Australian based. Yeah. That's happening over a long time, many decades.
ที่น่าถามโค้ชผมว่าหลากหลายมากที่นี่
So you see the big lawn, right? In the middle of summer season, it's converted into a outdoor cinema.
เอาดอกที่นี่
Yeah, so there's a big prop. People just lying down on the ground and watch movies in summer. So that's why I say there's many things you can do, right? And there's many wedding venues you can book, right? There's many spots it can book as a wedding venue. You book one, let's say 3 of them, right? There's 3 couple getting married. You can set up your chairs, your arches, yeah, and have a ceremony. It's public, it's free.
มินิมาราธอนแจกซองพี่ก่อนเลยเป็นไง
Yeah. Many research conduct here. Urban heat, human thermal cancer. Initially, as a botanic garden, it's a collection of different botanic species.
not related
Okay. So that's the river on that side. I think we are. Yeah, so we have Fern Gully. Right? This is fern. And so I just want to show you. This is the Fern Gully. You can hear the sound, right? This is a recirculation scheme. Because of the lake water is stagnant. So there's a pump taking water all the way up here to creating this creek. This is not natural creek.
Yeah.
It's powered by the pump.
Yeah.
But the water going through this Fern Gully, we can walk down this way, creating a sound, but also trying to move this water around. So particularly in summer, to avoid algal bloom. Right? Otherwise, there will be algae. Fern Gully, so we can walk down this way. But it's very cool, right? I think we monitor the temperature here. The air temperature in the Fern Gully, which is the fern forest, is up to 10-degree difference to the one that exposed to the sun on the pavement. And in Melbourne, maybe next time we'll show you, we have many fern gardens created a semi-open structure to contain the moisture. So we can grow ferns in this dry climate. But in Thailand, it's naturally you grow ferns, right? But as long as you have a shade, you can grow ferns. But in Melbourne, it's very difficult. You have to create this canopy shading. Yeah. But it cools down. Right? People want to go there because the temperature is very high.
It have only some part it have many layers.
Yeah.
We are standing at this point, okay? So this side we are looking at is a retarding basin, okay? And it is online retarding basin trying to reduce the peak flows for the Dandenong Creek so that this retarding basin can accommodate upstream urban development along the creek. Because once you urbanize, the peak flow in Dandenong Creek will increase. And if we don't do this, it will flood the downstream, right? So the retarding basin is created trying to attenuate the floods along the creek. That's the main purpose. But it was constructed a while ago, so we can talk about the designs, how do we improve the design in future. But as you can see that as this goes in, there's also tributary comes in, and the way this is designed is to turn this into a public park. So people can walk their dogs here, and the challenge you see is this is the dam, right? The top of dam probably 6-7 meters higher than the houses. Right? So the houses are really suffering because of the block of the views and also the risk. So that's something we can think about when we design, bring this back to Thailand. But what we learned from this project is that in most of the traditional retarding basins in Australia, this is a large open water body. Right? But it doesn't need to be like this. Okay? So we can think about whether we can incorporate some islands in the middle, because it's a flood retarding. It doesn't need to be an huge open body. But as soon as you start introduce islands, it suddenly increased the biodiversity and amenity for the people. Particularly if we can build some very informal bridges across, basically connecting people from one side to the other side, but through the island, rather than, if you look at this side, all people doing is going round and round. There's no real interaction with water. Okay, so that's something we can think about. So the best point we can stand there and talk about the retarding design is right on the top of the dam. And that's where we will see the hydraulic structure of the outlet. Okay, let's go. See, this is what I mean. I think Joke and Dr. Wao came here around June last year, and the water level is quite high back then because it's the raining season. And I think now the water level is really dropped. As you can see, there's emerging plants are coming out of the water. But again, you see, this is almost like a lake, right? And then people have been doing some biodiversity study on the area. So I think the question I prepare for you to think about is that if we're going to put a wetland in this retarding basin, where is the best place? That's really important, because when these retarding basins are designed, maybe 50 years ago, it's single functional. It is just thinking about retarding, right? But now we know it could be multifunctional, right? Because we can decide whether there's a permanent water in the retarding basin or it's completely dry. That's one thing. And second thing to think about is, do you want to incorporate some wetlands? The location of the wetlands in the retarding basin are very important, because you think about if you put the wetlands right at the entrance of the retarding basin, the problem is that when the peak flow comes, it will wash it off, right? That you don't want to do that. And if you put it all the way close to the outlet of the retarding basin, that's good, because it's protected. Because when the water accumulates, the backing water protected from scouring. But then the problem is that the wetland won't be used to treat the stormwater to improve its quality, because right at the back, right? So it's somewhere in between is where you want to think about how you want to position the wetland, so that it's protected from scouring, from the inlet, but also the wetland can be used to treat the low flows from the creek, so it produces high quality water that you can harvest and store it somewhere else. So this retarding basin has been upgraded about 2 or 3 times, starting from a completely dry retarding basin. And then the first upgrade is to introduce permanent pool, which you see here. And now it starts to retrofit to introduce stormwater harvesting systems, which you can see out there, right? But you can see the thinkings start to direct the investment of this infrastructure. So it start upgrading itself over time to deal with different challenges of the city. Okay, good. Okay, so this is Dandenong Creek, right? This Dandenong Creek goes all the way down and then goes through the city and goes to the Liverpool Bay. So before the retarding basin, the catchment of this creek are predominantly rural, like a farmland. Okay, as soon as the developer purchase land from the farmland, convert it into houses, that will increase significantly the peak flows from the catchment. As you can see, beyond this point, all houses are built, right? If we don't do this, every time it rains, the downstream will suffer because the creek is never sized to accommodate an urbanized catchment. It is sized based on rural catchment. So the retarding basin along the creek, there are many of them. They are in series, not just one. There are many of them to incrementally and progressively attenuate the flows. So the people living on the downstream, they can live with the condition. But because the urbanized downstream first, right? And when they're running out of developed land, they go to upstream, the rural land, right? So which means that the more you urbanize the urban expansion to the upstream, you need to make sure that the additional runoff in the peaks need to be managed by the new retarding basins, so it doesn't impact the people living in the downstream. In this case, the downstream is the urban area, so they're developing upwards. They're developing upstream. Thanks, Ima. That sounds like an engineering question.
Yes.
Where the people to downstream.
So it's gonna flood the city.
Yeah,
So they
Yeah.
have to do the
retarding basin, yeah. So the first policy requirement for the urban development in Melbourne is control the peak, the flood first. And then over time, there's a consideration about water quality. And now we become flooding, water quality, but also flows, trying to maintain the healthy state of the waterways. So it's progressively become more and more stringent. So a retarding basin is actually very simple. There's only 2 things. One is the inlet, the other one is the outlet, right? The secret is in the outlet. Of course, we have to build a dam, right, to hold the water. It's all about how do we design the hydraulic structure of the outlet. As you can see, that's the outlet. It looks like a castle, right? Because it was built so many years ago. But essentially, all the functionality we think about today can be integrated into one single hydraulic structure. Okay, so that's the secret how you make it multifunctional. The first one you think about is that do we need a permanent water? Because that determines the lowest outlet point of the structure. Right? If you don't need any open water, you will place the outlet right at the bottom. So everything will be drained after the rain. But if you need something that you always have a water there, then you raise this up based on the design. So think about permanent water body. And the second thing is the top water level. It's when it's flat, how the water gets out. In this case, as you can see, the crest water level is where the water overflows. Okay. Of course, in that design, we think about what's the flood event are we trying to attenuate. In Melbourne, in Australia, mostly it's 1 in 100 years, right? So 1 in 100 years tells you the peak flow, the Q. And then based on the broad weir equation, we work out what's the minimal size of the weir, and then to integrate into design. And then now increasingly, people realize, okay, we can also do stormwater harvesting here. Right? So where is the intake of that stormwater harvesting is something that we need to integrate into design, because that depends on where the wetland is. Unless the water is really good quality, you don't need a wetland, then you can place it anywhere. But the whole point I'm trying to draw here is that we should think about when we design a project back in Thailand, is that it would be great to integrate all these functions into the one single outlet design, because that would minimize the construction and the maintenance in the future. So it's all about how we design this. Of course, and then the landscape architects and architects will say, we don't like huge water bodies. We can make it more interesting. Or the shape of the retarding basin can be interesting, because the shape doesn't matter, right? The shape can be any shape. And then is how do we break the scale down and to introduce more activities. Like this case, right? We can't get in there. Only dogs can. The dogs are feel free to swim, but people can't. People can only walking around this retarding basin. But once let's say if we have an island in the middle and they're connected by floating boardwalks, then this park will be on another level. But the bad side of this design that I want you to look at is on the other side of dam. Is poorly considered, right? Because basically the slope is just make sure the integrity of the dam is preserved and nothing else. It's not usable, it doesn't look nice, and it's a single function. So the project we're going to see tomorrow is a good example to show how we smartly design the back end of the dam so it can also used by the public. And this is something we can think about for the soil project. I keep calling it the soil project. Right. Okay. Any discussions?
May I ask a
Sure.
question about the land use in general? It's, from what I heard, it's been like all the regional planning has been planned since before the developer come. So my question is it exactly like, for instance, in this area you control the development to like grow over around, and then you kind of like prepare. Is this going to be part of the upstream to help the downstream? Is that what happened, or is it like spontaneously because of the water and Melbourne doing it? I mean, the relationship between the town planning and this project. Yeah.
That's a really good question, because it's all coming down to the population growth policy of the city, right? Because the planning will basically say how many more people we want to attract. In this case, in Australia, most of them are immigrants, right? First generation immigrants. And so when they say, if we want to accommodate 1 million people in the next 2 or 3 years, okay, where do we place them? Okay, so in the past, the focus is also always about urban sprawl. It's not about increasing density, it's about sprawling from city center outwards. Okay, in this case, and then you do the town planning policy to say, where is my growth corridor? Okay, growth corridor, we only have this land, right? Growth corridor means that we're converting agricultural land into residential land. Okay, so once we have that planning policy, then you think, do we have infrastructure to service that? So the infrastructure including roads, do we have roads? Do we have water supplies? Do we have wastewater pipes? How do we deal with flooding? So all the infrastructure requirements need to be considered into that town planning policy, right? So the town plan policy need to think through this before they can sell the land to developers, not the other way around, right? So for instance, in this case, right, the government need to calculate what we call infrastructure structural plan. It's like, if you want to convert this green field into a residential based on this density, you know, like 100 people per hectare, things based on that density, what is the total infrastructure cost. How much need to be paid by the government and how much need to be co-funded by the developer. And that's how they calculate developer contribution, right? So then based on work out how many lots are developers trying to sell to pass on to the community. And that money they collected and then mix with the taxpayers' money from the government and to build this. So in Thailand it's very important, but in Australia it's driven by population growth. In regional Thailand, we need to think about, is that the driver? Is the population growing or decreasing? Or is industrialization, or what is the driver? If the population is not projected to grow, maybe the investment is more about coping with climate change. Then that will be different.
So in Bangkok itself, I would say like it's more like we discussing with Pidgin in the back related. It's a labor market in Bangkok and people like moving. We're not growing population because people don't want to have a baby. But there are more people like going in the city to get work because the labor market is concentrated.
Yeah.
So we have urban sprawl like you mentioned,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the realization of this kind of thing as our infrastructure. So when we mention about infrastructure, it's not related to water management, rather than like a big a large street. And it's more kind of very great. It's good to know that we the prioritization.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Yeah, I think this thinking is very important for the Eastern Economic Corridor, because that is projected to have more population in the future, right? More development, more urbanized area. But where in the Bangkok, it's about more retrofitting, urban renewal, okay? Because what this does is to produce the volume. It's all about the volume that can use to hold the stormwater, right? And temporarily before you release it down. So in Bangkok, how do you find this volume? Okay, so BMA struggle to find it because all the canals are already there. And that's why in one of the examples I show is that in future, when the urban renewals, when the urban redevelopment starts, any development that's fronting the canals need to use part of their frontage land to accommodate more water. So you can widen the canals, but in the way it's also part of the landscape, right? You cannot force people to do it, but you can use flood area ratio as a bonus to incentivize them to do it. And I haven't shown you, we have done one of the project in China using the public hospital to show the developers you can do a terraced landscape instead of vertical walls so that your landscape can be flooded. If everybody do this, suddenly a 20-meter wide canal will become 40 meters, right? If a developer willing to contribute some of their land. And the government needs to do it first. Like a Lupini Park need to hold some flood, right? The developer say, why you are not doing it? Why Lupini Park is isolated from the rest of the canal? And that's why your floating wetland project is very important. Then you can say to BMA, open your Lupini Park pond to the canals because the floating wetland can help you to restore that water quality. Then they can do it.
May I have one question?
Sure.
It's like this is like in your system.
Yes, sir.
This is like a retard area that I show you.
Oh, yes, the heart. I like this.
Yes. And this is a town.
The tongue, yeah.
Town
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And this Yom River.
Yeah.
It's always have every year have a flood in the town.
Right.
Yeah, we bypass the water from the Yom River to this one.
To retarding basin, yeah.
Yeah. But for this one in the past, this area like a paddy field.
Okay, paddy field, yeah.
And we excavate the soil and bring the soil to be dry along this.
Yeah.
And now this water is used for two purposes. After the flood finish, the water is collect 32 million cubic meter for agriculture.
Yeah, great.
and domestic use. The one thing that I ask, we need to improve them by put some plant in this or not.
Yeah.
Because now it's like only water body,
Yeah.
no plant like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this already have. But if we can put some plant and get the good quality or control the sediment, something like that.
Yeah.
Because this water is used for domestic use also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
also water supply reservoir.
Yeah. It's possible to put some plant, and how can I decide which plant is suitable for put in this area, something like that.
Great. By the way, I like it's a double heart. It's too hard.
Just to realize, it's heart in your heart.
Heart in the heart.
yeah.
Great. Well, you certainly, if the reservoir is designed too deep, of course you can't introduce emergent plants in the middle, right? Because it's already too deep. But it doesn't stop us from introducing floating wetlands. So the floating wetlands, Vanita and I, we are developing, is trying to produce quality water from a polluted water body. Right? It can also use in this project. It's floating. You don't have to redo the earthwork again. It doesn't change the bathymetry, okay? But it's floating wetland. So the idea is that the floating wetland actually planted in the biochar. So it's not an open route goes into river, right? It's if you go into the water body, it help a little bit. It's tokenistic, right? Because you have such a large water body, but it's enclosed by a tarpaulin. Like if you think it's wrapped by a HDPE liner, right? And the wrap is filled up with biochar, and the plants grow in the biochar, but it's floating. So as you use solar panel pump to pump the water from this reservoir through the biochar wetland, the other end is coming out with quality water.
Okay.
Then that water you go to your water supply system.
Okay. This means that we need to create like a NBS near this water body and put the water to this for clean.
Go through
For treat and
It's hard to clean this whole reservoir. It's very hard. It's impossible. But you can clean what is going into your water supply system, right? You only clean that bit.
okay.
And then the wetland looks very nice, like the one we saw in Botanic Garden yesterday. It could look like that, right? But so the challenge that Monash and KMITL is to reduce the cost of that floating wetland, so everybody can do it. The one you saw at the Botanic Garden are very expensive, and we don't believe it should be that expensive. Right? Valinda, you already got a scale up project with Zahardin.
I have a question. Why it doesn't have any tree? What happened? I mean,
in the past, this area is just like that
บ่อ
field,
ดิน
and
บ่อขุดดิน
we
ขึ้นมาเฉยๆรูปหัวใจ
excavate the soil to be a polder. Allow this is polder. This is soil from this area.
So, okay,
You
you just
dig.
dig it. But when you design that, you need to
Balance,
think about
balance,
it.
balance.
Yeah,
Because
kind of feel balance. Yeah.
we don't move the many soil.
Too many soil.
32 million
Okay,
Yeah.
of
understand.
soil.
Yeah.
I put allowed to
Yeah.
be, and this area is we think if we don't use it will be forest in the future, something like that. And now this area is used for the government to construct like this is a stadium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
football stadium from the Sukhothai province, something like that allowed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some like court, some to construction.
Yeah.
The office
Yeah.
allowed here.
Yeah. And the alternative to this is some of the cut material can fill into island, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we can have a few hearts in the middle of the
Yeah,
park.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But why the floating wetland is important? I'll share a story of San Francisco, right? When they also went through a very serious drought, so they came visit Melbourne to see how we deal with drought in the past. And in the end, they find that during the drought, the majority of the water loss is through evaporation. So what they did, they have to use floating boats to cover the reservoir. Can you imagine that? They use black plastic boats to cover up the reservoir, to reduce the loss.
I think I've seen it.
You have seen that, right?
Like
Yeah.
small plastic ball.
And, you know, it's again, it's a huge investment. It's just doing a temporary thing. But if floating wet comes in, it can also help to reduce that. Of course, the plants also use water, but the floating wetland in the retarding basin, but it can also place in the sediment basin. I don't know where in Bangkok we have these wind issues. If you have a windy climate, so it would churn the sediment at the bottom. But the floating wetland will help to dam the wave actions.
And one thing is, like I think it's different from the feel of the people. Because for the Thailand people, especially in the rural area, they see like this water body, and they love to see it clear. Clear. You mean
Clear,
Clean.
no, like
No,
don't
no
have
plants.
don't have a plan.
Oh, they don't like plants. Oh.
Yeah, they just like another side. It's only water body and very good. But if he see this pan, he think government is not take care of it. This is weed, something like that. You understand
They
me?
think it
So you
the
need a
waste-
landscape architect to help you to design that.
I don't know.
Make sure it is beautiful.
What do you mean by they? Who is
เขาชอบที่จะเห็นประชาชนชาวบ้านเขาชอบที่จะเห็นว่ามันเป็นน้ำล้วน
มันเป็นน้ำล้วนๆ มันไม่มี
ๆ
มัน
ไม่
ไม่
มี
ควร
ไอ
มี
เนี่ยโผล่ๆขึ้น
ไม่
มา
ลกมันลก
ถ้าเกิดว่าอันเนี้ยถ้าเกิดมันโผล่ขึ้นมาเขาบอกว่าเนี่ยมันคือสิ่งที่เราไม่ดูแล ปล่อยให้มันหญ้ามา
You
ขึ้น
know
รก
they say wasteland not wetland wasteland
Wasteland.
different
Yeah.
it different
It takes
from
time,
the
yeah.
people
Yeah. I'm same thing here, right? Because when we used to bring a lot of delegates from China, Singapore to come to Australia, right? You look at the landscape of Australia; it's a wild landscape because people love wildness. But people coming from Singapore, China say, okay, this is not well maintained. Because they like the British manicure kind of, right? Same thing, right? But it takes time. It takes time.
same thing
Yeah.
When I said the British themselves, they change. It's not
They also
manicure.
change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not manicure anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very combined.
especially that the place that construction by government they think you don't take care
You don't take care of it.
okay
Okay, let's go. Keep walking. Yeah.
and you construction like this with sand in a dam and you construction the water this is the retard area that occur he said it is natural because near the creek in the old part it already have this plant
like this plant
it's some natural but in this area in the past it's a field it's a paddy field the plant in the creek not grow up near this because the different soil different situation but now it have a water it can extend ไม่รู้
Yes.
เข้าใจไหม
Yeah. Some of them. But in this case, the creek is very upstream, so it is the dam actually here,
yeah
right? But downstream, when the flow is getting too big, you have to do this, not long line. Yeah. But that's a good thing to always have to think about plants, because if you don't have that, when the water level drops all the way down, you see the mud, right? The water level, right? You either see the plants or the mud. The plants better. And not just that, right? We should also think about trees, willows, swamp cypress. They can naturally grow in the water. That's much better. Never mind, you're tired? Oh, the seats in the bus is not comfortable. Okay. We want to show this project to you is because even though R&D is predominantly working in the rural area, but the density here, in Melbourne is very similar to the rural area in Thailand. So this is a retarding basin, a wetland, and a stormwater harvesting system right in the middle of this village. Okay. So the majority of the catchment inflow is coming from that way. So there's a big drainage coming in, and before the water comes in, it going through this wetland. So what you'll see here, in this pond, this water already has been filtered through by the wetland. So what is really important in design is that how do we design the outlet? Right? So you want to have a closer look. So I just draw a very simplified cross section here. So essentially we have a few things. One is that because it's a pond, we have to determine the normal water level. And the way we do this is we can do we call it a riser outlet. So basically it's a vertical PVC pipe has been drilled holes onto it. And the bottom of the last hole determine the water level in the pond. So when the rain comes, this water level will rise and start to going through the orifice, the holes, and start going out. And because of this project is having a stormwater harvesting system, the water goes through the holes, goes to a water tanks. As Dr. Wall correctly remember, the water tanks are buried under the playground as you just walk through. Okay. And when the water level keep rising, it will reach the top water level, and it overflows into a large pit, and they go into the downstream. And so that's the pit you're looking at. Right? So it's going through that big screening and then going to the downstream. So the volume between the normal water level and top water level is the retarding volume for the flood. And so the idea, I was just talking to Mel on the bus, is when we initially have done the modeling about 10 or 12 years ago, and the developer was trying to sell the land parcels. Each parcel is about 250 square meters at about 400,000 per household, Australian dollars. You can times 25, how much is that? Maybe a million, 10 million, something. And now each household worth about $1 million. Why? Because we came here around late afternoon. People finish work. A lot of people using this amenity, walking or cycling, and bring the kids out. And so the strategy developer used, they will spend the money to build this first before they sell any houses. So they spend the money working with the government to implement the wetland, the lake, the playground, and this barbecue pavilion facility. So then they subdivide the land as a package to sell. So when people come and to look at the showroom, they see this amazing amenity, the wetlands, the lake, the pond, and people willing to buy it. That's the strategy they use. So that immediately increased the sales of the developer. So we can walk around. We can go this way, walk around this facility. Coming back, there's a bridge. But before we do that, is there anything we want to clarify and discuss? It's pretty simple design, because you will see as you walk around.
So there's no upstream creek, just a stormwater.
Just stormwater drain. Yeah. Mainly from this catchment, from this registered estate. And as you can look around, right, the catchment of this is mainly that part and this part, because that is higher and that is higher. And from that point, there's another catchment that's going another way. Why they have to do this? It's the same reason. It's protected downstream. For example, after the water overflowing through that structure, there's existing centralized stormwater pipe, as they'll refer as a major stormwater drainage system, maintained, owned by Melbourne Water. And at each of so along these major drainage lines, each of the nodes have a number, which is for 100-year stormwater event, what's the maximum you can discharge into this point. Let's say in this case, before the developer buy this land, they will get this number from Melbourne Water saying, okay, you can only allow to discharge, let's say 2 cubic meter per second peak flow for 100 years. You have to do anything you can on your land to make sure your 100-year events after the development not exceeding that number. Because anything above that number means that somewhere downstream is flooding. So then developer need to do the modeling backwards to say, if I to make sure my 100-year events after development is less than 2 cubic per second, how much storage I have to create. Right? And then work with landscape architects to calculate backwards, you know, based on the like a 1 meter extended detention, what's the minimum area I have to provide as a retarding basin. And then that lock in first. So the master plan needs to lock in this space first before look at anything else. I think one of the articles asked me about 30%. This is exactly trying to determine what that 30% of the public open space need to be allocated to. So that's not non-negotiable. The flood requirement, then there's water quality requirement. So all this area is using the 30% public open space as part of the planning code.
Fresh water that is used
For irrigation.
for irrigation.
Yeah.
Only
Irrigation and toilet flushing. Because the new development, they are required to build 2 water supply pipes. So every household need to have a blue one, which is the potable that you can drink. The other one is purple. Purple is for toilet flushing, for laundry, for irrigation. 2 pipes. All developments okay, only for the new development, new large development. You probably see on the other side of the circular road, that's a barrier retention, that's rain garden, and because that catchment is too low to drain into here, because it's too low, so you have to drain to that barrier retention system. That's mainly to satisfy the water quality requirement, the 45% removed, and the majority of the flood attenuation is done by this retarding basin. And you probably see it in many cases, right? Most of the high flow bypass, people like to put rocks because there may be some. First of all, there will be initial drop from the weir, from overflow weir, drop in. So put some rocks to dissipate energy. And then other than that, I personally don't think it's a good landscape outcome. There should be better ways to design this. So we can think about this in the ToT training number 2 and number 3, how we design the high flow bypass. And as you can see, the outlet and overflow are separate in this case, but you can design either ways, because what it determined is if the overflow weir length you calculate based on the weir equation for the Q is too long, then you probably need to think about to create a separate one, a dedicated path for that. And that's number one. And secondly, your downstream pipe most of the time are determined already. You can't change that. So your overflow point always near that, right, to minimize the additional pipe you have to lay. That's number 2. Number 3, we have to consider is that the best is to have the overflow point close to the inlet, so that when the high flow comes, it doesn't destroy the whole thing. It comes in and goes out directly. So those are the things we have to consider. But the most critical factor is that because the pipe in Australia is so expensive, they try to not do additional piping to connect to the downstream. So this point is always confirmed immediately next to the downstream pipes.
They want to know why pipe for expensive.
I want to know why. It's ridiculous. Mel can talk about it.
What?
How much? Why the piping so expensive?
Why the piping so expensive?
Yeah.
I don't think the pipe itself is very expensive.
The labor cost.
I think it's a labor cost because we need to like dig the trench and install all of these devices. And in Australia, the labor is very, very expensive. We would like to do that, but we don't have the permit. But it's really good salary for the laborers.
But you think about the the biofilter you see in our lab, right? There's a 90-degree elbow. Do you know how much that cost?
Well, it's
$500, right?
$500.
That's expensive. Yeah,
Yeah,
one.
just the elbow, just one elbow. So
yeah.
when I do the budget, I think it's just a little bit of money. And when I do the budget, I purchased 3, and 3 of them is $1,500. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah, that's what I mean, expensive.
Yeah, well, the
compared to Thailand.
Well, yes, yeah. If you see that, okay, compared to China and Thailand,
Thailand,
like,
yeah.
it's very expensive.
It's crazy.
Yeah, at that time when I do the budget, I want to get some from China and then ship it to Australia.
You can produce it in Thailand.
Yeah.
You can produce it in
Yeah, Thailand, Vietnam, and China. Yeah, we can get maybe just 1/3 of the price.
That holds just one piece of elbow, 90-degree elbow.
It's $500.
$500 times 25. How much is that?
Next time we bring.
Yeah.
many
Wait,
do you
we
want?
buy extra luggage. You put in the luggage.
Yeah, like half of the shipping containers.
We exchange, right? You buy the pipe for us, then we put wine back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You might do, yes. Wine.
Good negotiate.
Good negotiation. The lake zone, which is the sediment basin, and as you see, this open water becomes deep. It meant to settle the large sediment, and then go into the microphyte zone, which is start from this point and all the way into the pond. As you can see, the ramps designed so that a truck can, like a digger, can come in over time, all the way to the edge, and then drag the sediment out. Theoretically, every 5 years. Theoretically, every once in 5 years. But I think there's a fish there, so the ducks or water birds all dive in trying to get something. But as you can see, the designers, developers are very lazy. They use the same plants everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I think this time the color of the water is black.
Is bad.
Black.
It's black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Then in that time.
yeah. It's dry.
Dry.
It's dry. Yeah.
Have a little smell.
There's no inflow. You see the mark, and then the bird. So many birds.
มองไป